Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Glide Memorial Church. We're located on the corner of Taylor and Ellis in the historic Tenderloin district of San Francisco, but we're also located in the virtual, on Zoom, on YouTube, on our webpage, on Facebook, wherever you listen to your podcast, we are there with you as well. On today, we are holding our Asian American family and community in our hearts and in our celebration and in our thinking about how Glide is a place of unconditional love where there is no room for unconditional hate. We hold this community as our own, and we know that until all of us are safe, none of us are safe. So we join with all other faith-based communities on this Sunday, calling an end to anti-Asian violence and killing. It's also our third Sunday of Women's History Month. And we know that women's history is American history, is world history. We have a very special guest teacher today, the one and only Kate Foster will be with us. So we're really excited about that. And we're excited that you are here today, that you have chosen to get up on this Sunday to be a part of this beloved community. And the only way we can be beloved community is if you show up to it. So on behalf of our CEO and president, the one and only Karen Hanrahan, our co-founders, the Right Reverend Cecil Williams and San Francisco's former poet laureate, Janice Mirikatani, on behalf of our board of directors, our senior leadership, our lay leadership, our church office, our congregational life leaders, our congregation, we want you to know that you are welcome here. Are you a first-time visitor? Is this your first time at Glide Memorial Church? Why don't you just raise your hand right now in the chat? Or just somehow signal that you're here for the first time. And we will surround you and welcome you and shower you with love. And we're going to provide a way for you to stay in contact with us. We believe that by the end of this celebration, you will be our people and we will be your people. So we're going to put a link in the chat right now that will show you how to sign up for our newsletter. And we'll be in touch with you and let you know all the ways that you can be a part of this community called Glide Memorial Church. We are now going to open our virtual prayer basket. So that means that the chat has miraculously been turned into a virtual prayer basket. And if you need prayer for anything, you can put it in the chat right now. If you need a prayer for yourself, simple. All you have to do is type the word me in the chat. Simple. And we'll know on Wednesday night when the prayer circle gathers that we need to pray for you. You don't have to tell us for what. We will just lift your name and let the prayer attend to it. But if you need a prayer for your family, for your friend, for your house, for your block, for your city, your state, your nation, this world, put it in the chat. If you have a specific need for a situation, for a door that you need opened or a door you need closed, you need a prayer for someone to come closer to you or someone to stay as far away as possible, all of that can go in the chat. And we will pray as a prayer circle every Wednesday night for everything that comes in. And there's no prayer too big or too small for us. And there are other ways that you can offer prayers. If you don't want to put it in the public forum, there's a link where you can submit a prayer as well online. Thank you for trusting us with your prayers and with your Sunday. My name is Marvin K. White. I'm your minister of celebration. And now Mira will lead us in our community prayer.
Good morning, Glide family. This is a prayer for the woman through the ages, and it's written by Reverend Jude Geiger, who comes from the Unitarian Universalist tradition. Spirit of renewal, God of many names, and one transforming and abundant love. We turn this Women's History Month in our nation's life to reflect on the stories, the heritage, and the struggles of women throughout the ages. hearts. We seek to learn from all those voices that have been left unheard. May we pause before the silences of the ages, find who has been left out, and craft new ways of inclusion for every week and every month. May this spiritual practice bring out the voices of all those struggling, all those left apart. May we let go of our assumptions and cold comforts of what is the new normal to live by, unless it be a standard that is rooted in compassion, in inclusivity, and in diversity. May this month of reflection teach us to search for those stories that are different from our own. Mother of possibility, in this finding, may we come to know ourselves changed, renewed where we are dry, hopeful where we are lost, and open where we are shut. Before I close, I want to take 1 minute to invite all of you to enter in the comments below the names of your friends and family in need of prayer. Thank you. Amen. Hallelujah. Right on. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. And Ashe. And now here's our community song.
I'm gonna do what the Spirit say do. I'm gonna do what the Spirit say do. I'm in the Spirit. I'm gonna do what the Spirit say do. I'm gonna sing if the Spirit say sing. I'm gonna sing if the Spirit say sing. Now if the Spirit say sing, I'm saying if the Spirit say sing. I'm gonna shout if the Spirit say shout. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit say shout. Now if the Spirit say shout, I'm gonna shout when the Spirit say shout. I'm gonna clap when the Spirit say clap. I'm gonna clap when the Spirit say clap. Now if the Spirit say I'm gonna clap when the Spirit say clap. I'm gonna cry if the Spirit say cry. I'm gonna cry if the Spirit say cry. Now if the Spirit say I'm gonna cry if the Spirit say cry. Hey, I'm gonna dance if the Spirit say dance. I'm gonna dance if the Spirit say dance. Now if the Spirit I'm gonna dance when the Spirit say dance. I'm gonna march when the Spirit say march. I'm gonna march when the Spirit say march. Now if the Spirit say I'm gonna march when the Spirit say march. I'm gonna change when the Spirit say change. I'm gonna change when the Spirit say change. Now if the Spirit say change, I'm gonna change when the Spirit say change. I'm gonna do what the Spirit say do. I'm gonna do what the Spirit say do. Now if the Spirit do what the Spirit say do.
I'm going to do what the Spirit say do. Amen and amen. Our community song led by Imogene Foster. And we're going to do what the Spirit says do today and every day. We're going to follow what is happening in the present time. And in this present time, we are moving into our community embrace. And I want you to keep putting the names in the chat and put all the people that you're thinking about and that you love. And I'm going to continue to say, what are you grateful for today? Put those in the chat. And we'll just take a few moments just to reflect and just bring in the love and the thoughts of where we are right now in the present time. Oh man, we have some music today. We have a special guest. I want you to hang on to the very, very end. This music is the music of our lives. It's the soundtrack of Glide. We listen to this music every day, at least I do. And we have it move us through our challenges in life. Music is just the elixir of love and understanding. And this first song that we're going to present is a song that we sing here at Glide. It's led by none other than Napata Muro, and she's going to be singing God Can, God Will. And I just want you to put out some special blessings and prayers for her. She had a loss in her family this week, and I think it's just so appropriate that we keep that message of God can and God will fix it for us. And following that song is going to be All of Me, led by Trinisha Golston. We haven't heard from her. Please send her out prayers as well. And following that song, we have a Throwback Sunday. We pulled this out from 2004. And it's of Zoe Ellis singing Love Brought Me Back with the Glide Ensemble. You got to hang on to this because it's going to be an uplifting song. And then we're going to have our special guest towards the end. So hang on. So first, God Can, God Will, Napata Muro.
God can, God can, God will, God will. She'll fix it, God will fix it for you. Wow! I tell you, God can, oh, and He will, God will. Yeah, He'll fix it, God will fix it for you. I don't think y'all heard me. I said, God can, and will, she'll fix it, God will fix it for you. Yeah, God can, oh, and He will, yeah, He'll fix it, God will fix it for you. need love today. We need peace today. We need hope today. Hope today, yes. All of me. Jesus, take all of me. Why not take all of me? Sing it with me. All of me. Yeah. One more time, come on. All of me. Jesus, Jesus, take all of me. Yeah. Why not take all of me? Yeah. All of me. How can I repay the love you've shown to me when you gave your son on Calvary's hill that I might be set free? Mere words cannot begin to express my gratitude, so I give myself as an offering to you. Yes. All of me, Jesus, take all of me. I'm holding nothing back. I give myself to thee, although I may not know just what the future holds. Lord, I ask you to take all of me. All of me. When this life is through and I stand before you, Lord, all the things that seemed important, they won't matter anymore. So mold me with your hands into a vessel you can use for your service, Lord, that my life might count for you. Yes. Jesus, ask him today. I'm holding nothing back. I give myself to thee, although I may not know just what the future holds. Lord, I ask you to take all of me. All of me. Jesus, take all of me. I'm holding nothing back. I my kin. I stayed close to sin. Thought I could never win. No one trust. Life became too much. I began to lose everything I touched. The one Sunday morning love brought me back. Yeah, yeah, love it brought me back. Oh, love brought me back. Yeah, yeah, love it brought me back. Changed my style and I lost my smile. I was going down for a while. Through God's love from above, well, I'm standing tall. I came through it all. I came to tell you love brought me back. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, it brought me back. And I say love brought me back. You know it did. It brought me back. So we say love. You know it brought us back. You know he'll do that every time. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. It brought me back. Oh. I changed my style and I lost my smile. I was going so far down, but through God's love, out from above. You see, I'm standing tall. I came through it all because of love. It brought me back. Yeah, yeah. It brought me back. Love, it brought me back. Oh, it's love. Oh, it's love. You know it brought me back. You know he does that every time. You know he brought me back. Love brought me back. All right.
That was Love Brought Me Back from the Glide Archives with Zoe Ellis. Before that, we heard from Trinisha Golston, and we started off the set with Napata Miro. We want to thank Vernon and the Change Band and the Glide Ensemble for their amazing musical, for their amazing music. Right now, I'm going to tell you about ways you can participate in Glide congregational life. First of all, if today's your birthday, anniversary, or anything that you are celebrating, please let us know in the chat so we can celebrate you and celebrate with you as well. And don't forget that you can watch us on YouTube, on Facebook, here on our Glide webpage. You can call in on our new call-in number, or you can listen to us by podcast wherever you get your podcast. Remember that this is Women's History Month, and we have two more amazing speakers this Sunday, today, Kay Foster, and then next Sunday, rounding out Women's History Month, our CEO and President, Karen Hanrahan. Also, don't forget that if you are 60 and over and a San Francisco resident, you are eligible for a free tablet program. If you are low income and need some internet hookup, please contact us at churchgroups@glide.org so we can enroll you in this amazing and free service. Don't forget that Easter Sunday is coming up. That's on April 4th. And we will have 3 amazing celebrations. We'll have a 7 a.m. sunrise Easter celebration, and then we'll have our regular 9 and 11 Easter celebrations. And each will be filled with stories and with music to help us celebrate all kinds of resurrections and resilience and restorations that is Glide and is a part of every story here. If you want to participate in any of our congregational life group meetings, today's Keeping It Real, or this week's array of programs, there's a link right now, or several links right now in the chat that will share with you and show you how to be a part of all of these amazing groups. So those links are in the chat right now. Please be a part of this community. You are not alone in the world. There are people waiting for you and expecting you. Thank you so much. We're going to move into our witness portion of our celebration right now. And I have the honor to present today's witness, the one and only Glide's own Emily Cohen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Cohen, and I first came to Glide about 8 years ago. When I first came to San Francisco, I loved it right away, but I longed for a way to feel more connected to the city, to the people, and to the community that makes San Francisco so special. So somebody recommended that I check out Glide. And my first experience with Glide was going to a Sunday celebration, and I sat way in the back. But I was so moved by the ensemble, by the sermon, and by the feeling of inclusivity and the dedication to serving in the community, well beyond the 4 walls of the church. So I kept coming back, and if this is your first time, I encourage you to do the same. Eventually, I started volunteering on Sunday mornings in the free meals program. And that's when I started to see firsthand the very real way that Glide was showing up for the most marginalized and vulnerable people in our community. And that's when I started to witness what unconditional love really looks like. Eventually, I joined Glide's Legacy Committee, which is a passionate group of young professionals dedicated to the work and the mission of Glide and to connecting the next generation of San Franciscans with Glide. And for the past 2 years, I've had the very distinct honor of serving on the Glide Foundation's Board of Trustees. As a member of the congregation, working with the Legacy Committee as a volunteer, a donor, and a trustee, I have been a witness to all of the many ways that Glide walks the walk, but never more than this past year. Glide's work over the last 12 months, their courageous and incredible ability to pivot, to forge ahead, and to continue leading and serving through these challenging times has made me so incredibly proud to be associated with them. In Judaism, you are not just encouraged to give. You are not just encouraged to help the marginalized. You are required to. You are called upon. God and justice and compassion and generosity are all intertwined. I've never known an organization that threads the needle between love, action, service, and faith like Glide. When I give to Glide Church, I'm contributing to a movement of poverty alleviation and spiritual well-being, a movement towards social justice, equality, compassion, connection, things we need now more than ever. When I first heard about Glide, somebody referred to it as the ethos of San Francisco. That is more true today than ever. Glide is a pillar of this city's best values and of the values that I want to uphold. So I hope this morning you will join me in donating to Glide Church, and I hope you'll also encourage others to support Glide. I hope that we can all be together soon. There is hope on the horizon. My name is Emily, and I am Glide.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for the time that you give to Glide and the ways that you provide financial support to Glide as well. You are a worker and you are a giver, and we appreciate that. And we're hoping that others will be inspired to volunteer, to participate in Glide, and also to give. We are a part of so many amazing front lines at Glide. We're on the front line of social services, providing meals to folks in need and in crises. But we're also on the spiritual front line. We are clear and sure that what is being broken right now are people's hearts and spirits. And we are a church that will be here when the doors reopen, like we are here right now in the virtual. And that's what we're asking you to believe in, to trust in, and to give to, that you know that Glide will be the place that people who have been hurt from the past 4 years or from the past year of the pandemic will return to. They will come here for the music, for the community, for the word, and to be a part and to reintegrate and to re-enter into beloved community. And that's what we're asking you to give into today. So if you believe that, if you feel that, we're going to ask you right now to go to the link to our virtual offering basket here on Facebook and give there. If you need an alternative way, you can always go to our iGive link as well. But the virtual offering basket is now open, and we're going to ask you to please give and give generously.
See you with your head held high, even though tears may fall from your eyes. He's the kind of God you know that you depend. He's waiting, he's watching, he's waiting to defend. No, it's not. God is love. God is love. He is love and love. No, it's not God. God is love. God is love. Sometimes it's evilness that causes us to stray. We running for ourselves, day by day there is no rest. Keep on believing, don't stop praying. He's waiting, he's watching, he's worthy of your best. No, it's not. God is love. God is love. He that loveth not. No, it's not God. God is love. God is love. He's love. He's love. He's love. He's love. He's love. He is love. My God is love. My God is love. My God is love. We ought to live our lives the very best we can, understanding truth and respect the fellow man. God is not mocked, whatever men may say. Same God that giveth can take it away. No, it's not. God is love. God is love. He is love and love. No, it's not God. God is love. God is love. He's love. He's love. He's love. He's love. My God is 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 love. He is love. He is love. He is love. He's
Thank you so much for your giving and your offering, and knowing that Glide Memorial Church is the place that you want to invest your time, your talents, and your treasures. We're going to hear another song selected by Vernon Bush, a very special song. And then I'll come back and introduce today's special guest speaker, the one and only Kay Foster.
Thank you, Minister Marvin. We are celebrating women all this month, and I have made a special effort to just have women singing and just celebrating the women in our lives. This next person, I am just so excited to present her and introduce to some of you. Her name is Sunshine Garcia Becker, and she is a dear friend of mine. We've been singing for many, many years in this group called Sovoso. It's an a cappella band, and we were going to do something with Glide last year in the park, and unfortunately it got canceled because of the pandemic. However, she is here. She's friends with Zoe Ellis. We all sing together, and I can't wait for you to hear her. She's an amazing singer and performer and professional and just all around love, full of love person. She's going to sing this song, this original song, and I'm going to let her introduce it. But her name is Sunshine Garcia Becker. Sunshine, come sing.
Hey, Vernon. Good morning, Glide family. What a blessing to be here with you all today. As we say in the rock and roll Grateful Dead world, never miss a Sunday show. And the same thing goes for being able to have worship and community together. The Glide family, Glide Church, is such a special place in my heart and in my family. From many years ago, I think right out of high school, I was introduced to Glide Memorial Church with my mother, who took me to Glide many, many times, and where I really learned about being of service and experienced such a deep connection with the choir and with music, touching my heart, healing my heart. And I seem to have been given this musical gift to pass on, that I'm supposed to pass on. So thank you, Vernon, for inviting me to be with all of you today. And as I was thinking about the song I wanted to sing for everyone today, I was inspired to sing a song that was written by my aunt, my tia Marina Garcia Gelpi was her name. She passed away recently. And Marina was my dad's sister. She was such a beautiful human being inside and out. She was a very wonderful singer-songwriter. She worked in the farm workers movement with Cesar Chavez. She used to tell the story that he paid her $5 a day to go sing songs at the picket lines. So I grew up on those picket lines, and the message of Si Puede lived in all of her songs, What We Shall Overcome. And so this song is called God of Miracles, and she wrote this song in northern New Mexico, where my Garcia side comes from. And I know that one of the scriptures that came to her was Hebrews 13:17. God of miracles is the same today, yesterday, and always, and forever. So I'm really excited to sing it for you, and want to thank Vernon Bush for playing piano with me on this. So this is God of Miracles. When the lost and alone meet you on the road of life, full of sadness and despair, they think that God just isn't there. Look them straight in the eye. Remember when you felt that too, and tell them everything that Jesus did for you. My God's a God of miracles. He loves impossibilities. He sets a table for me right in front of all my enemies. My God's a God of miracles. He saved my life, He'll save yours too. What wondrous things a God of miracles can do. When you're tired and bent low, overburdened by your strife, and you're crying all the day, all night, oh Lord, please see me through. Just unbind all those cares, lay them at the cross right there. Your debt is clear, the blood of Jesus paid for you. My God's a God of miracles. He loves impossibilities. He sets a table for me right in front of all my enemies. He is the same today as yesterday, tomorrow, and always. My God's a God of miracles. Oh, give Him praise. Mis Dios de Dios los milagros, le gustan las imposibilidades. Tiene la mesa para mí enfrente de todos mis enemigos. Él es el mismo de este día y ayer, mañana y para siempre. Mis Dios es Dios de los milagros, nos damos alabanzas. My God's a God of miracles. He loves impossibilities. He sets a table for me right in front of all my enemies. He is the same today as yesterday, tomorrow, and always. My God's a God of miracles. Oh, give Him praise. Give praise. Give praise.
Thank you so much, Sunshine Garcia Baker, for that amazing contribution to today's celebration. We hope you'll come back and sing with us again one day. We are moving into our speaker, teacher, preacher portion of celebration, and I have the pleasure of introducing no stranger to Glide, the one and only Kay Foster. I'm going to read her full bio while she can't stop me, just because I want y'all to know who she is and what we have access and who loves us, and that would be Kay. Kay Foster is a growth leader, a business builder, a philanthropist, mother and woman of faith whose life purpose is to give voice to the voiceless. Kay works with CEOs, leaders, and teams as partner, coach, and confidant. Her most recent role was Chief HR Officer for Onyx Pharmaceuticals, where in partnership with the CEO and Strategy Officer, she supported the development and execution of the company's enterprise strategy and multi-year business plan. Prior roles include being the Chief HR Officer for Johnson & Johnson and HR business partner assignments at Pfizer across Japan, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. She has been a guest lecturer at Columbia University in the School of Business and a speaker of the Milken Institute Global Conference, focusing on talent development for the new millennium. Kay is currently a board member and a board of trustees member of Stanford Healthcare, recently joined the board of directors of Valley Care and was appointed to the board of directors for Agios Pharmaceuticals, a leader in the fields of cancer, metabolism, and rare genetic disorders of metabolism. She recently joined the board of directors of Grail Inc., a biotech company whose mission is to detect cancer early when it can be cured. Her philanthropic commitments are reflected in her service as Glide's board chair and as a trustee of the board of Spelman College in Atlanta. And she has time and energy and space to be a part of this beloved community. I present to you today, Kay Foster.
Good morning, Glide family. I want to express my thanks to Minister Marvin for creating space for my thoughts and my words this morning as we celebrate Women's History Month. I also want to express thanks to the many members of Glide's church community, our lay leaders, our church office staff, our volunteers, and all of our attendees at our online services over the past year. We are truly blessed by your presence and your commitment. When Marvin asked me to make remarks honoring Women's History Month, I knew that I needed to write out these remarks because he instructed me to speak about 15 minutes. And I know myself, this is a topic that I can speak about for days. So I am exercising some discipline by reading my prepared remarks. I hope that you will find comfort and inspiration in my words today. Over the course of my life, all 61 years, two of the many things that have sustained me are my family and my faith. I will reflect on both of those today. I'll start with my family. As many of you may be aware, I was born and raised on a small island in the Caribbean, the island of Barbados. Now, Barbados was a British colony, so my early years as a child were designed and governed by allegiance to the Queen, the ultimate matriarch. But in the village where I grew up, women wielded power and influence, a fact that shaped my life and that I believe enabled me, despite severe hardships, to thrive when I immigrated to the United States. In my family, women ruled. What is interesting on reflection was that the women were often required to care for siblings and the home, while the men pursued higher education and professional pursuits. Until I was able to understand and appreciate the enormous value provided by the women in my family, I wanted to ensure that I could escape that almost certain future of being a homemaker. Let me share my mother's story. She was the eldest of 7 children, the only girl, and 6 younger brothers. She did not finish high school because she was required to remain at home to help my grandmother raise her brothers. Now, despite her lack of formal education, my mother was one of the smartest women I knew. Her thirst for learning inspired me, and to this day, I treasure her words. Education gives you choices. My maternal grandmother was a trailblazer in our family. She moved to the United States, went to beauty school, and returned to the island and became a successful hairdresser. I have fond and sometimes painful memories of having my hair pressed and curled with the hot comb. I will ask Marvin to put a link in the chat for those of you who do not know or cannot recall that reference to the hot comb. My mother's chosen profession was a seamstress, a dressmaker. She was extraordinarily gifted, and I am convinced that any of her dresses that she created would stand up to the scrutiny of today's designer clothes. What is also striking is that my sister Lizzie who many of you know from attending in-person services at Glide. She repeated my mother's experience. When I was pregnant with my first child, Lizzie gave up her career and came and raised my children so that I could pursue my career dreams. That selfless act stands as a testament to the power of family. As you can tell, my life has been blessed by women who have paved a way and have therefore allowed me to commit my life to paving a way for others. Here's what I learned from growing up with strong women. Who you are is more important than what you do. Your character trumps your craft. Your character trumps your craft. Number 2, never forget where you're from. There is always strength and power in your origin story. Let me now turn to faith, or more specifically, my faith journey. Like many of you, I assume, I grew up in the church. Thanks to our parents, as children, my 3 siblings and myself, we were in church every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Upon reflection, the only references to women I remember from those many days in Bible classes, Bible study, sermons, the only references to women were Eve in the Garden of Eden, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and maybe Martha, the anxious sister of Lazarus. A few years ago, thanks to my teenage daughter, she challenged me about the prevailing patriarchy in the Bible. She told me that as a true disciple and a seeker of faith, I needed to look at the role of women in the Bible, not as they were portrayed, but as they contributed to the stories in the Bible. And Women's History Month seemed like a logical and appropriate time to do so. Here is what I learned, thanks to the many sources and many reference materials that I sought out, including a reference book called The Badass Women of the Bible. I'm going to reflect on 3 such women whose faith reminded me and reminds me of the biblical reference that faith, the size of a mustard seed, has the power to move mountains. I will start with Ruth. Ruth, the Moabite woman. Now, after her husband died, Ruth would face significant difficulty as a woman with no protection. You should understand that to be with no husband in a patriarchal society. But Ruth followed her mother-in-law Naomi to the land of Israel, even though the prospects of finding a husband in a foreign land would be slim to none. There are few examples that can compare to Ruth's devotion to Naomi and the magnitude of faith that she displayed in her relationship to God. It is because of that faith that she was blessed with marriage to Boaz and ultimately became the link to the lineage of King David. Next, I turn to Rahab, a Canaanite woman. Her story of transformation from harlot to heroine is truly extraordinary and is, for me, quite instructive. Now, Rahab at the time was known as a prostitute in the temple, living in Jericho. But of more significance, Rahab was a woman of faith. Joshua at the time was planning to lead the Israelites to capture the city of Jericho, and he sent ahead 2 spies into the city of Jericho to check out the city. Rahab sheltered and protected those two spies from the king of Jericho, who wanted to capture and assassinate them. for her protection of those two spies, and for her faith, she and her family were spared from the defeat of the Israelites. The paradox in this story is that as a woman of quote unquote ill repute, she is not often heralded for her faith. But in the face of fear for her and her family, she chose faith over fear. Finally, I will draw on the story of Deborah, the only named female judge of her time. I am drawn to the story of Deborah because she is known for her faith and not for her relationship to her husband or to another man. In today's terms, Deborah had an impressive resume. She was a judge, a warrior, a prophet, a poet, and a performer, a singer and a songwriter. Now, at that time, judges sought guidance by praying and asking for divine guidance before proclaiming judgment in matters. Deborah's most famous story was calling Barak, who was an Israelite warrior, to assemble troops and launch an attack from Mount Tabor. Perhaps because she was a woman, Barak agreed to follow her judgment only if she came with him in battle. Deborah agreed to accompany him, but told him because of his lack of faith, the battle would be won by a woman, not by him. This story reminded me that we are often called to step out in faith and to overcome fear with faith. While we often celebrate the life and contributions of contemporary women during Women's History Month, it bears remembering that women have played a vital role for centuries, and even if their stories are not taught extensively, that in no way diminishes the extraordinarily important role they have played over the course of history. I thank you for your attention. God bless you. Thank you to all the women, women friends, women family, and all the sheroes who guide and guard us. Thank you.
Thank you for that amazing musical interlude, Vernon Bush, musical director of the Glide Ensemble. And Kay Foster, I forgot to read the most important part of your bio. It's apparent to all of us that you are also a preacher. Thank you so much for being a part of today's celebration, for bringing the wisdom of women and sharing your family story and your journey as a part of Glide. We appreciate you so much. That concludes today's celebration, everybody. Thank you for being a part of this amazing experience where we create beloved community, where we lift up the stories of the marginalized, and we sing it to you, we pray it to you, we witness it to you, and we give it to you in word as well. I want to remind you to join us in our Freedom Hall following this celebration for some fellowship time. Light and easy, and coming together just to take a break from the world and just see one another in our virtual fellowship time. Following these announcements, as a benediction, we're going to share with you a recording that we have put together, and this benediction is really about stopping Asian hate and stopping Asian violence. It's going to be an audio clip from an NPR interview that Elsa Chang did with Dale Minami. And Dale is a lawyer and a former Asian American Studies professor at UC Berkeley. He teaches about the history of anti-Asian sentiment in the United States, and Dale Minami is a dear friend of Janice Mirkatani and the Glide community. He is a San Francisco-based lawyer who often worked in cases involving the civil rights of Asian Pacific Islander Americans and other minorities. In the early 1980s, Minami helped lead a legal team of pro bono attorneys in successfully reopening the Korematsu versus United States case, resulting in the erasure of Fred Korematsu's criminal conviction for defying the internment of Japanese Americans. Minami has received numerous awards, including the American Bar Association's 2003 Thurgood Marshall Award, the 2003 ACLU Civil Liberties Award, the State Bar President's Pro Bono Service Award. We lift his voice up today, and we lift up the voices of Asian Americans today.
Thank you, Minister Marvin. As we close out, we are going to sing "We Shall Overcome Today." Won't you join us and please sing? Here we go. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. We shall all be free. We shall be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall all be free today. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. That we shall overcome today. Last time, that we shall overcome today.
Tuesday's deadly shootings in Georgia come as hate crimes against Asian Americans surged by nearly 150% last year, according to the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism. But the history of anti-Asian sentiment in the U.S. begins way before the pandemic and way before former President Trump's racist remarks about the, quote, China virus. Here to talk with us about that history is Dale Minami. He is founder of the Asian Law Caucus and former professor of Asian American Studies at the University of California, Berkeley. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I just want to start by asking you, what's been going through your mind the last couple days as you've seen this news in Georgia unfold?
Gee, there's so many adjectives: disappointed, destroyed, disgusted. It's just appalling what's been happening and what has happened throughout history, actually. But yesterday was a particularly bad day.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I want to turn specifically now to really this whole past year. Let's start there. The rise in anti-Asian attacks, both physical and verbal attacks. I'm including in there the way former President Trump framed the coronavirus as a thing that came from Chinese people. What parallels do you see between what's happening now in this country and what has happened in periods in the past when people in this country turned on Asian Americans?
I think during periods of great tension in this country or insecurity, fears and anxieties rise, and that undercurrent of racism that has gone through the United States history throughout its beginning tends to overflow, and that from the first immigration of Chinese to this country in the 1850s to the present, you've seen an ebb and flow of such violence. 1871, there was a massacre of 20 Chinese Americans in LA. They were lynched. We've seen the incarceration of Japanese Americans, the murder of Vincent Chin in 1982, demonization of Chinese during the McCarthy era, and the aftermath of the Gulf War on September 11th, when Muslim and Indian Americans were very much subject to violence and discrimination.
I also want to point out to people listening to this interview that you led the legal team that overturned the conviction of Fred Korematsu. He was the civil rights activist who was arrested for refusing to enter a Japanese internment camp in 1942. How do you think the legacy of war has played into this history we're talking about, the way Asian identity has been perceived in this country?
The tensions rise exponentially during times of war, and the last three major wars the United States fought were against Asian countries, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. And that leads not only to a dehumanization of those peoples, simply to justify, psychologically the killing of the, quote, enemy. And those images remain, the antipathy remains and survives. And to dehumanize these people of color and bring that back to your own country, the United States, leads to a justification for just terrible treatment of Asian people.
Well, as we're talking about this long history of anti-Asian sentiment in this country, the ebb and flow of it, as you put it, I mean, you personally have had a long career thinking, litigating, writing about anti-Asian feeling in the U.S. Is it possible for you to picture at this moment where things might go from here? I mean, does now feel like a moment of change to you?
It does. I think partly when you see Black Lives Matter being legitimized and that folks, including white folks, are supporting that movement, there's hope that there's allyship that can be created among all races, including Asian Americans, and education of other groups to understand the common humanity we all have is really critical, but perhaps the hardest thing to do. I think we have to change this whole culture to understand that reckoning of racism needs to be had in this country, and it includes Asian Americans.
Dale Minami, founder of the Asian Law Caucus, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.